Hello and welcome. This is Olivia Brown, your host, with Abby Liebing. She's a
Hello.
reporter from the Western Journal, and we're getting our special guest on right now. Welcome. This is Erica Steinberg-Perdomo. She is the top legal counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom. She's going to be discussing a case in which the Biden administration is saying that low-income kids cannot have school lunches, which they are desperately relying on.
That's right. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Go ahead.
What can you tell us more about this case?
So the Biden administration is threatening to take away school lunches from low-income kids who attend Grant Park Christian Academy in Tampa, Florida. They're forcing the school to choose between violating their religious beliefs and feeding the school's essential meals that the families rely on. And this is pushed by the Biden administration's radical redefinition of sex in Title IX.
Wow. So they're saying that if they don't adhere to the Biden's definition of human sexuality, that they're going to lose their lunch?
Exactly right. They're literally willing to push these politics and pull lunches away from the mouths of these needy kids.
And I feel also that this is maybe a jab against Christians as well, because it is a Christian school, even though that area is predominantly low income.
So yes, it's a Christian school, and Title IX has a specific exemption that applies to religious institutions like Grant Park Christian Academy. So the law provides that if Title IX conflicts with the school's Christian convictions, it doesn't apply to them. The Biden administration is trying to ignore that exemption and force this ideology into the school, and then threatening to take away the school lunches if they don't comply.
So that's why they move forward with litigation then.
That's right. That's why ADF got involved, to protect the school's religious freedoms and to make sure that when school starts in less than 2 weeks, these kids have meals.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Alliance Defending Freedom and all the different cases they've been working on?
I can talk to you about this case. Alliance Defending Freedom, we're a nonprofit religious organization, and we stand up to protect schools like Grant Park Christian Academy who are facing violations of their religious beliefs.
Yes, this would be a violation of the First Amendment. I was reading about it. Is that what you are suing on?
That is one of our claims. There's violation of the First Amendment, and we're also bringing statutory claims as well.
Very interesting. Do you have any questions to ask our guest, Abby?
Yeah. As cases like this develop, do you see more of these coming to the forefront under the Biden administration? Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy around Title IX. So how do you see things kind of evolving from here with schools that do have or use partial government funding, whether they're Christian or non-religious?
These new policies are affecting schools all across the country. We're representing this school in Florida, and the policies are affecting schools not just in Florida, but all across the country. And there's also pending lawsuits that are already underway. So we are stepping into this fight to defend this religious school, but the Title IX regulations are impacting all the schools that receive USDA funding for the National School Lunch Program. So this is going to have a huge impact in the country. And,
definitely
and
across
potentially take
the
away
nation.
Lots of lunches.
Yeah, definitely across the nation. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad that you could join us today and fit us into your schedule. It's amazing, and we're very thankful to have you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
So there is another thing going on in Florida that we're going to be talking about today. And it has to do with Governor Ron Desantis. So as many of you know, he is a Republican up-and-comer. There's rumors about him running for president 2024. He's in the news a lot. And he's often doing things that a lot of people like and agree with across the nation. So today we're going to be talking about something that he just made a very effective solution to the problem of kids being at drag shows. Let's show this clip.
Well, first of all, there was a video out of Dallas where they had all these young kids putting money in the underwear of these drag queens at a bar, and that's totally unacceptable. And I said that at the time. Then what happened was a week or two later, there was video from a place that had similar stuff, and then that was identified as being in Florida. So we said, wait a minute, having kids involved in this is wrong. That is not consistent with our law and policy in the state of Florida, and it is a disturbing trend in our society to try to sexualize these young people. That is not the way you look out for our children. You protect children. You do not expose them to things that are inappropriate.
I found it especially appalling. He does go on to say that there was children menus at this place. Children's menus. So they are saying, yeah, we get children very frequently, so we even have a menu for them.
Yeah. Family friendly.
Yeah, very family friendly. And he goes on to say that what they're going to be doing is taking away the liquor license from these people. And to me, that seems like an extremely effective solution on a way that people, can take children out of these places, because he's right, sexualizing such young children. We're in an age now that, even I saw more things than other generations have, but for years and years, we were shielded from things from our parents because of technology wasn't really there as much as it is pervasive today.
Yeah, the internet is just, most kids are subjected to porn by like age 9, so it's everywhere. It's really pervasive.
It's actually moved down to age 5 now.
Oh, it's 5 now.
It's 5 now.
Yeah, update on that.
I have nephews and all around that age, and it's appalling to know that now that age has recently dropped. What is your take on this? Do you think that this is a good move by Governor DeSantis?
I think he has the right spirit. And Florida does have public decency laws that are fairly stringent. And so under that, he has the appropriate measures to act. I do think the idea of taking their liquor license away is definitely effective, but I would caution.
Why?
I would caution against that because it's pretty vindictive. And liquor license, there's like 7 different sets of scenarios that you can take away someone's liquor license for. They're pretty broad. They're pretty interpretive. But if you kind of get into the business of punishing private businesses as a state official by taking away their liquor license, which, if you're a bar, that's just taking away your income. There's no other way to operate. I definitely understand his reasoning for it, but it's just somewhere I think you should tread carefully if you're a government official. You don't want to be seen in a vindictive light, and you don't want to be seen as a punisher of private businesses.
I highly disagree with that because children should already not be in there. So normally at bars, you are supposed to have an ID to be let in. That goes against the law to have children there, so he's just following the law.
Right, but that doesn't have to do with liquor license. That has to do with with the drinking age and with public decency laws. You can shut down a place all day long if they have people who are underage, or if they're not IDing people, or for a myriad of other reasons. You can shut down a bar. But taking away someone's liquor license is a long and painful just a drawn-out process for them ever getting their liquor license back, and it can look a little harsh.
Maybe.
I'd say shut down. He can shut down the drag bar by all means.
I feel like shutting it down would be harsher than taking away the liquor license.
You just shut it down for a time.
Yeah, and then bring it back?
Yeah,
That doesn't really help the process because, say in 6 months, they're going to be doing drag shows for kids again. And really, they're just following the law, and I say their liquor license deserves to be taken away if they are not following the law.
This is one of those sticky situations in general where when it comes to private businesses and clear morality, there's just going to be a little bit of a gray area, even if it's clear morality, because when you're a state official, your hands are still a little bit tied. I agree 99% with Ron DeSantis on this, but it's just a little bit tricky when you're dealing with private businesses and individuals' choices, because let's say, there are provisions where, a lot of places, bars, before 3 or 5 p.m., they're just a normal, regular restaurant. And it's then people's private, personal right, parents' rights to take their kid wherever they want. And if you step on the toes of that, it can set some bad precedent, that's the only issue I take with this kind of model. It's just like, ooh, I agree. I think most people can agree and see the reasoning behind it, but it does open the door a little bit for some dangerous precedent down the road.
I feel like we've already had dangerous precedent with what liberals are doing. For example, we talked to an ADF lawyer about how the Biden administration is taking away their school lunches because they don't agree with the same level of human sexuality. To me, that seems a lot harsher than what Governor DeSantis is doing. So I say that conservatives and Republicans need to fight back and get on the same level, which Governor Ron DeSantis is doing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Our next topic is going to be about something that Abby is very knowledgeable in. Abby is a super sports fan, and I love to hear all of her different takes on sports in the office. But today we are specifically going to be talking about the controversy with Live Golf. And they have a very interesting thing that people are very upset about. And Fox News' Wes Barrett just did this report he saw that 9/11 families had an ad criticizing Trump for hosting a Saudi-backed Live Golf Tour event at Bedminster. And so they put this ad out there to say, Trump, I don't like you doing this. But it's not only about Trump. We need to really be thinking about what are the implications between America and Saudi. What they do. So tell us a little bit more about this.
Right. So this is a fun situation. It's my two favorite things intersecting: Middle Eastern politics and sports, which is hilarious that this is intersecting here. So the Live Golf Tournament is this huge multi-billion-dollar golf tournament that is funded largely by the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund. So basically, the Saudi royals are paying for a golf tournament here in the U.S. in New Jersey at Donald Trump's golf course. And this is a huge event that they are paying millions and millions of dollars for, and lots of big names are showing up at this golf event. We have Donald Trump playing there. But then there's Phil Mickelson's also showing up, Bubba Watson, Dustin Johnson, a lot of other big golf names, people who've won the Masters in the past, legends of golf. And you can't really blame them for showing up to this tournament because participants are getting paid just to participate $120,000 a piece.
Wow, I wish that I was paid $120,000 a piece to do this.
I know. I was like, I would take that in a heartbeat. The winner is getting a $4 million cut. The second place will get about $2 million, and third place will get about $1.5 million. So this is a huge gain for anybody who's in this tournament. It'd be hard to turn down if I were a pro golfer. But there's been a lot of issues around it since it is Saudi-backed, and there's been all of the questions surrounding, the Saudi Arabian government's tampering's not a good word, suppression of human rights. And then particularly these 9/11 families have been speaking out of this is just totally unacceptable that a Saudi-backed golf tournament is taking place in the U.S. And that major major golfers are going to be playing there. Like, it just seems wrong. And some people have jumped on board. The PGA has jumped on board and is threatening to punish.
I mean,
players.
to me, that just seems they're doing that because they're a competitor. Because
Yeah, that's just petty. I would say that's just the PGA being petty.
Yeah, they're being petty. It's them as a competitor because everybody is not paying attention to that. Also, the NBA is backed by China.
Right.
Who is far worse than the Saudis, that some people agree that, you know, they're one of our biggest enemies, as Trump would say. So with foreign interference, I feel like this is something that we should be paying attention to.
Yeah.
Charles Barkley, who was there, had a very interesting take on it. He said, "I think it's funny there are more interested in civil rights in Saudi Arabia, a place 99.9% of the people in the U.S. have never been. Why don't you all worry about the civil rights of people here in the United States?"
Charles Barkley trying to have a hot take.
Oh, yeah. To me, I disagree with him because I think that we should pay attention to anything that is foreign interference.
Yeah.
But, you know, where do we draw the line? Are we also going to put the same sort of criticism that the NBA, you know, that Live Golf is having on the NBA? I feel like there needs to be something across the board if they're both going to be that way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where it's kind of a pragmatic argument of, yeah, if you're going to get all over the Live Golf tournament, why is no one else getting all over, you know, all the funding behind every other pro sport? Because if you start to look at it, you know, no one really wants to see how the sausage is made in pro sports. They are bajillion-dollar industries with international markets. They're getting, you know, the NBA gets about $5 billion in revenue from China. Every major league sport has ties internationally. And it's the business side of sports, but at the end of the day, it's the sports that Americans love, and no one wants to give up watching them. And while it's important to note, like, it's a little shady that China's behind the NBA and that the Saudis are funding this golf tournament, I just at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, it's a little shady, but whatever, have the golf tournament, and no one's really going to stop it. And especially with the Saudis, I'm like, it's not like Osama bin Laden's family is funding this tournament. It's the Saudi Arabian royal government, who, sure, they're not stellar, but with not to belittle the loss of the 9/11 victims and what their families are still suffering years later. At the end of the day, it's like, I'm not sure that's totally relevant to this, especially in light of how the Biden administration has been trying to patch up the relationship with the Middle East.
He just did this fist bump with the Saudi Arabian leader. So why is the 9/11 Families Ad Council not putting something out about that?
Yeah, there's so many other things to pick on that the administration has done wrong with the Saudis. But no one's picking on that. It's, you know, it's when the rubber hits the road, which I always say in America, the rubber hits the road when it comes to sports, when it comes to our entertainment, then people start waking up. Yeah. And they're like, oh no, what have we done?
Things we really care about.
I know.
Sports.
What do we actually care about? And so it's a slippery slope, and it's a tough call. Cause it's one of those things you can see both sides of the argument for sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And both sides have really been, you know, standing up against it. Both Republican and Democrats are and have been upset about this. So I find that very interesting in that the reaction to this controversy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's been such strong reactions to it. And, you know, Saudi Arabia has just been on the mind of everyone. And everyone loves picking on Saudi Arabia. They're like that easy target for all politicians, which, I mean, it's true. They're an autocratic government that has killed people, a lot of people. And so that's definitely understandable. But at the same time, you know, if all business worked on the assumption that you can only work with good moral people, there'd be no business in the world, and there certainly wouldn't be any sports.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you can't just pick and choose who you like and don't like when it comes to this. If there is, maybe we'll set a precedent that there will be a rule that you can't get money from any outside. I don't know if maybe
Fine,
that's
go
something.
for it. Yeah.
But we need to have some sort of decision on that before we are attacking every single one. But I do think it is important to always pay attention to foreign interference and things that we're seeing, because we're seeing more and more of that.
Yeah.
China buying up land in the United States. We need to be really cognizant of that. But there's also this really funny thing that I saw. This is hilarious. So when I think of Trump, I think of the memes. And they
So
are
many good ones.
so golden. Let's show this one. Down he goes.
First of all, that's a pretty good swing from Donald Trump. I will
yeah.
give him points for, he's a pretty good golfer. But oh man, Biden falling off his bike never gets old.
Yeah.
I feel like you can pair any meme with Biden falling off his bike and it's just comedy gold.
Exactly. They also previously paired one of when he fell down the airplane steps.
Yes.
And it was Trump
Beautiful.
going boom and hitting him in the head with that. So I feel like anytime Biden falls, we can do another Trump golf meme.
Oh, constantly.
And it just keeps going on and on and on.
Oh yeah, constantly. It's a never-ending, beautiful gold mine.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in with us today. We're going to be here again this Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. Make sure that you look at our social media in the meantime. We have gotten really busy on there, putting out lots of clips for you guys, lots of content. It is for Instagram at wjlive podcast, and for Twitter, we are at westernjournalism. Make sure that you give us a like and a retweet, and thanks for joining us.